Issei Sagawa's story is a harrowing descent into the darkest realms of the human psyche. Born on April 26, 1947 in the city of Hyogo Prefecture, Japan, Sagawa's early life seemed unremarkable, marked only by his premature birth. His father would often recount that young Issei was so tiny at birth that he could fit into the palm of a hand. Despite this difficult start, Issei's only health issue was enteritis, a condition affecting his small intestine, which was successfully treated with injections. In his formative years, Sagawa developed into a bookish introvert ardently pursuing his love for literature. His dedication to this passion propelled him to obtain a master's degree in literature from both Wako University and Kwansei Gakuin University. Later, he embarked on a journey to further his education by seeking a doctorate in literature at Sorbonne in Paris, a pivotal turning point in his life. It was in Paris where the sinister impulses that had plagued Sagawa since he was a child began to manifest. He admitted to having cannibalistic fantasies from as early as 7 years old. During his time in Paris, he hired sex workers with the intention of devouring their flesh but could never follow through. However, he had previously engaged in bestiality with his pet dog and fantasized about consuming the flesh of females. Sagawa's first known instance of attempted cannibalism occurred in Paris when he followed a German woman home, intending to slice off pieces of her rear end. She awoke and managed to restrain him until authorities arrived, leading to his arrest for attempted rape. Remarkably, Sagawa concealed his true intentions during the investigation and was charged accordingly. He was eventually released into his father's custody, a pivotal decision that would have devastating consequences. The lack of consequences for his earlier actions allowed Sagawa's deviant behavior to escalate, culminating in a horrific crime that would shock the world. On June 11, 1981, while studying literature at Sorbonne, the 32-year-old Sagawa invited his classmate, Renée Hartevelt, to his apartment under the guise of helping her translate poetry for their classes. In truth, Sagawa's intentions were far more sinister. He planned to murder Renée and consume her flesh. His motivation was rooted in jealousy. He saw Renée as beautiful and healthy, a stark contrast to his self-image as small, ugly, and weak. Sagawa believed that by consuming her, he could absorb her essence. As Renée sat with her back turned, reading the poetry, Sagawa shot her in the back of the neck with a gun, killing her almost instantly. The act overwhelmed him, causing him to pass out from the shock. When he regained consciousness, his attraction to Renée persisted, leading to a shocking act of necrophilia. During this disturbing act, Sagawa attempted to bite off chunks of her flesh but soon realized his teeth were too blunt to penetrate her skin. He left his apartment to purchase a butcher's knife, returning to mutilate Renée's corpse. He targeted prominent body areas, carving off pieces of her breasts, buttocks, face, thighs, feet, and neck unaffected by the gunshot wound. Some of the flesh he cooked, while others he froze for later consumption. The gruesome act extended to the removal and consumption of Renée's clitoris. Sagawa's gruesome fantasy was short-lived as the loss of blood and removal of large body parts caused Renée's body to fester and emit a foul odor. In a desperate attempt to dispose of the evidence, he dismembered her body and packed the parts into 2 suitcases. He then disposed of the suitcases in a local park's lake, but the remains were later discovered by authorities. Sagawa's arrest sent shockwaves through the community. A seemingly shy and introverted man had committed unspeakable acts. He was imprisoned while awaiting trial, but his father's wealth secured his release on grounds of insanity. He was deported to Japan, where he was immediately admitted to a mental institution. Despite his violent crimes in France, his diagnosis focused on sexual deviancy rather than sociopathy or psychopathy. Thanks to his father's influence, he was released from the institution. The case, known as the Kobe cannibal case, attracted immense media attention in both France and Japan, putting his family and friends in the spotlight. Sagawa capitalized on his notoriety by appearing in radio and television shows throughout the late 1980s and 1990s. He even wrote books about his crimes and life leading up to them, constantly granting interviews to Japanese media. Sagawa attempted to pursue a career in food criticism, reviewing eateries for the Japanese restaurant Spa, but struggled to maintain employment due to his infamous past. An attempt to find employment at a prestigious French-language school was also unsuccessful when staff and students discovered his true identity. Sagawa's life took a tragic turn as his parents passed away in 2005, and he was denied attendance at their funeral. He spent his inheritance paying off his parents' creditors, leaving him virtually destitute. He resorted to living in public housing and surviving on welfare. He lived mostly alone, and in 2013, he was diagnosed with cerebral infarction, which gradually deteriorated his mental and physical faculties. Sagawa required constant medical attention, leading to the involvement of caretakers and his younger brother in his care. In 2022, at the age of 77, he succumbed to pneumonia in a Tokyo hospital. His life ended in obscurity and regret, a stark contrast to the shocking crimes that had brought him infamy. Issei Sagawa's twisted journey, from an unassuming bookworm to a notorious cannibal, remains a disturbing chapter in criminal history. His story continues to haunt the annals of true crime, serving as a stark reminder of the darkness that can reside in the human soul. If you found this true story interesting, please leave a like to let us know. Don't keep this terrifying tale to yourself, share it with your friends who crave scares. And for more gripping, true scary stories, consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. Thanks for joining us on this haunting adventure, and we can't wait to see you again for more spine-tingling tales.